Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to the most exhilarating sports podcast there is on YouTube. That's right, it's the Fan Sports Podcast. Devin here, Logan sitting this one out. We got two very special guests here today. The Encyclopedia of Sports, yet again, is back. That's right, folks. Squid is here. What's up, Squid?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, no problem. And I believe new to the Fan Sports Podcast, we have the MLB baseball specialist, Tim. How's it going, Tim?
It's going good, DB. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, anytime. I'm glad you guys are here. You'll provide much better insight than I about the MLB and baseball. So let's get started. Tonight we saw some tempers flare, and that's to say the least. Between there's a couple of games actually that had that happen. First was the Padres and Rockies, if I believe, right? And
yes.
The Yankees and Red Sox also had a bench clearing brawl. We'll start with Tim. What do you think this means for baseball? Some unwritten rules here. Is it getting out of hand?
I don't think it's getting out of hand. It's part of baseball. There's always been bench clearing brawls. Fans love it. Honestly, everyone loves it. No one hates it. Like, great example tonight, Red Sox and Yankees. People are insane about that. They want that to happen. They want a rivalry continuing all year, and that's just how the atmosphere has always been. I'm glad to kind of see it get a little bit intense, because that was a dirty slide. If you go back and look at the replay, they just made a rule about that. Obviously, over what's been happening the last few years in preventing injuries, but it's a dirty slide. You have a right to argue that. And also, what happened today with Nolan Arenado, very dirty. You could tell it. Obviously, he was being thrown at. You're a professional pitcher and you're thrown behind him. I don't think so. That was dirty. And he has a right to go charge the mound and throw a couple punches.
Yeah, some retaliation on the part of those guys in those games. The first thing you said was everyone loves it, and this is just a side note, but I believe it was Jose Bautista one year had a confrontation with the pitcher, and he got his eyes knocked out of his socket, and I don't know if he appreciated that, but I sure as hell did.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah, I was cracking up. I don't like him, but so both of these games, division rivals. In their own right, you don't think of baseball and think of the Padres and Rockies as the two top teams in top rivalry. Yankees and Red Sox, though, historical rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
Squid, how do you feel about these events?
The Yankees, Red Sox, the bench is cleared. Just a dirty slide. Definitely a dirty slide. Slides like that have ruined players' careers, and they need to be taken out of the game. That's why they added that slide rule. When you saw him slide, he clearly extended his foot out of the reach. The fielder was in the right. He was out of the way. He handled the situation correctly. As a batter, you should be ejected. You're trying to hurt a guy when you go and slide like that. And with the new rule in place, that's probably going to be a double play. And with the Padres game, I agree. It's a coward move. When you go in and throw behind someone's back, if you want to hit the guy, you hit the guy. I mean, come on. And Arenado, kudos to him. If someone wants to treat you like that and throw at you, they're throwing hard. They're throwing 90 miles per hour. They can hurt you. You go and you beat the crap out of that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken a few pitches in my lifetime. That was Little League.
Yeah, they still hurt in Little League.
Yeah,
now unless they're throwing 90 miles per hour.
I mean, the only time they didn't hurt was when you were pitching, but that's besides the point. But this is the majors, and I think the brawls make it exciting. But yeah, the plays that cause the brawls not so appealing for the sport of baseball, just causing injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you can have some bad things happen. I remember Cardinals-Brewers brawl that got really ugly, and there were cleats that were being kicked, and those are some sharp cleats. They're metal cleats,
Yeah.
Those things aren't meant to kick people. They're meant to slide and they're meant to run on the baseball field. So they can get ugly, and I think part of that's the baseball's unwritten rules. Some people aren't in favor of that, but I think part of it's the sportsmanship of the game and playing the game the right way. And if you don't know how to play the game the right way, someone's got to show you. And if that means you getting your teeth kicked in, then you need to get your teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys that are young, that are coming up, they don't know the right way to play the game. So the veterans out there, they need to show them the right way to play the game. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, the big stink I have with it is this can cause some serious injuries. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking like completely serious, like end of your career sometimes injuries. Just with, baseball, obviously not typically known as the most dangerous of sports, but obviously it has parts of it that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, just look at baseball's changed rules to make the game safer. Just look at the slides at home. They made some of those collisions illegal, and now people are sliding into home. There's less injuries. You have your all-star Buster Posey gets hurt. Guys come to games to watch Buster Posey, and if that guy gets hurt, it could ruin his career. And now people aren't going to watch him, and you just ruined a big talent in your game.
Yeah.
So I really like the MLB rules, such as the slide rule, that protect players. You've seen the Pirates, Jung Ho Gung, being injured on a dirty slide. So I think they've done the right thing to try to make the game safer.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's. You guys okay?
Yeah, it was just a little clatter. Tim dropped his book.
Oh, okay. Well, it happens. All right. So let's. As I take a look at the standings here, we're looking at teams that have impressed you the most so far. For me, the Pittsburgh Pirates have really impressed me so far this season, and the New York Mets, another team that have been a very big surprise for me. 10-1 this season as we speak. Their only loss was to the Cardinals, I believe, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, their first series. And the Mets they've beaten some good teams in the Nationals and the Cardinals. Maybe not so much the Phillies and Marlins, but they're still putting up runs. And as for the Pirates, from my perspective, their offense has been humming. I think their offense has been incredible so far this season, putting up numbers 7, 8, 14 in games. And I mean, they're against the Tigers and Reds, I understand that, but still, for a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, they're putting up some pretty good offensive numbers.
Yeah, and a team that did so without power, and now you're seeing them do it all. They've had power, they've had good situational hitting, they've had guys get on base, they've had guys steal. It's been really impressive, their offense, and people thought that the offense would get worse when McCutchen left, and people thought the pitching would get worse when Cole left, and for the most part, that hasn't been the problem. I worry about their bullpen over the course of a year, and they do lack a true ace. Tyon's looks great, but if Tyon's your ace, then you don't have a number 2 guy. So I'm worried about the staff and the bullpen. The Mets, really, their pitching was great. I think they can play up.
Yeah, to add on to that, Squid, starting rotation for Mets is stepping up. Obviously, we know what DeGrom and Syndergaard can do, especially Syndergaard. I honestly have him winning the Cy Young this year, but
Whoa! Don't discount my man Corey Kluber. He is on fire.
He's in the AL, buddy.
Doesn't matter.
We got Syndergaard in the NL. I think.
You know what? You can call me stupid for saying that because he's in the other conference, but it doesn't matter. He's too damn good, so he's gonna win it in the NL too.
We'll see about that, TV.
All right, go ahead, continue.
But to add on, Matt Harvey is impressing me so far with a 3.6 ERA. He had 2 quality starts. He only went 5 innings in both, and I think that's due from his previous injury. But if he could step it up this year as a solid number 3 for that team's going to be winning 3 out of 5 games, and they're going to have a pretty decent record. The hitting is not. I think it's kind of luck right now. They got a lot of guys with power, but not a lot of guys that can get on base and get a good average. So we'll see if that continues. But to continue on about the Pirates. The Pirates look fantastic. I love their lineup. Overall, Clint Hurdle is doing a great job mixing up that lineup, having Polanco to number 2. And tonight, I think he was batting in 7th, and they moved Jordy up to number 2 because Jordy Mercer's batting over 350 right now, which is crazy. Guy's a consistent shortstop, great player, never gets praised about anything really, but great guy at the position. And then you got Jay Hay, Josh Harrison, for people that don't know him by Jay Hay. Great player. We were thinking about trading him and offering up and trying to get some young talent, but he's being a great leader for that ball club with Corey Dickerson as a addition to the team. I'm surprised how they started off, but I'm glad that the rotation's starting to do good and carrying the team, and the hitting's also been fantastic. I'm pretty sure they're averaging over 6 runs right now. Even though it's only, how many games? 10 games. I'm happy with the performance by the team, and hopefully they continue throughout the season and the bullpen can step it up.
Yeah. So, kind of on the same page here of standouts, but more specifically, we're looking at standout players now. We'll start with Squid.
Tawny, my boy.
We'll start with Squid. Who's your standout players thus far, either good or bad?
Looking at it, I think the Angels have a 6-man rotation, which will protect their health. So, I think that'll help them a lot. They have a lot of talented guys at pitcher. And looking at the AL West, you have Mike Trout, who's looked good already. Another guy that's just going to play great, and I've come to expect it out of him. In the NL, Gregory Polanco. You're speaking of the Pirates, how well they've started. Wow. I mean, up amongst the leaders in RBIs. I've seen it before in the World Baseball Classic. Tim just told me he's the leader. But you watch that guy play, and I see a little bit of Ken Griffey Jr. in him. That's a big comparison, but when he is on, he's one of the best players in baseball. You look at that pretty left-handed swing. He's got natural power. He's got a big body. He's got speed. He's a true 5-tool player. He might look a little clumsy out there in right field, but he can cover ground. Disappointment, I think you can go to the AL. Stanton's been hitting all right, but the strikeout numbers are high. And as a team, their strikeout numbers have been high, almost like the Cubs. Strikeouts are up in baseball, but you can't sustain a season with a 30-40% strikeout rate. And if Stanton wants to impress the fans in New York, he's going to have to start putting the ball in play. I mean, at a certain point, your average drops to a point that you're a detriment to your team.
Well, he's leading StatCast with the fastest home run exit velocity time.
He might be hitting home runs, but you can't hit a home run when you strike out. And he's been doing that too much.
I think he'll heat it up.
I could see it. And another weak start, Paul Goldschmidt.
Hey. I think Paul Goldschmidt has too much pressure on his hands down there in Arizona.
Are you saying he's a disappointment?
So far, weekend he has been.
They've hit back-to-back homers.
They've carried the team. Yeah, he's been holding it back that whole time.
He's still heating up. It's only 1 week. It's fine.
No.
As a start,
He's Mr. Consistent in baseball in the last 5 seasons.
All right, let's hear your players then.
Okay. Well, obviously, you mentioned Ohtani, which is my number 1, because I watched him pitch both games, and the kid, I guess you could say, is just impressive. He's throwing 97. His junk is disgusting.
That's easy.
And the fact that he can hit, he's already has 3 homers, is it? That's insane. I don't understand it. It defies, what baseball is. We've never had someone this great until, Babe Ruth. But
you're jumping the gun here. I mean, what are they? Only at 10 games in the season. Don't you think?
We'll see, but I think he's proved himself. I've watched. He's just great technique. I don't know. I can't.
He's a rookie, correct?
I can't predict the future, but I think the kid's gonna be great.
He's a rookie, correct?
Yes, he is a rookie. He was the top prospect coming in baseball this year, and he's living up to it.
All right, I think then my biggest issue with him would be his consistency over the season because he hasn't proven that yet. So I think if he can prove his consistency over a season span, he could be something great in this league.
Yes, and then a player that's been disappointing, I would say, this year for me is Yu Darvish. Cubs brought up the money to sign him, and I had hope for him because he has so many pitches, and he could utilize them so well, and he showed that with the Rangers. And the Dodgers, you saw it there and there, but he just looks like he's tanking it, and it was a bad move by the Cubs to spend that money on him, and also they lost Arrieta, so we'll see if he can step it up, but he really looks disappointing this year in my eyes because he was always one of my favorite pitchers to watch. But we'll have to see if it continues to be on a bad trend for him.
Yeah, I mean, we're only 10 games in, so we have to give these guys a little bit more time here to come into the season swing.
Yes, I agree.
Which, speaking of that, we mentioned Giancarlo Stanton and the Yankees. After picking him up this offseason, New York Yankees, heavy favorites to make it to the playoffs and even win the World Series. I've heard and seen everywhere. Rocky start for them, 5-6 right now. Tough division though. Red Sox, they're hot. Toronto, they're good. They're hanging around. And Baltimore and Tampa Bay, I don't think they're too shabby. Not the greatest, obviously, but where do you guys see the Yankees going this season?
I think they're going to go far. They've started a little slow. Stanton started a little slow. Judge has been decent, good defensively, actually, very good defensively. They're dealing with some injuries, an aging team, but their offense, they started Murderers Row. They had the greatest team ever in 1927. Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, both went off. And they've been called the Bronx Bombers ever since.
And I think it's typical New York hype that the Yankees are going to win the next World Series because you got two fantastic teams in the Red Sox and the Astros that have a better rotation and just maybe even better hitting as the Yankees. The Yankees could easily run into a couple aces that will lose them the series and they could easily choke. You see it already with Stan this year and Judge in the previous year and his previous year before that, but it wasn't considered his rookie year.
He didn't have enough plate appearances.
Yeah, he didn't have enough plate appearances. Yeah, but you saw the strikeouts there, and if they run into a decent pitcher that has some nasty stuff, I think they're going to have trouble, and I don't even think they're going to go far in the playoffs because you got Red Sox with, if David Price can stay healthy, which I saw tonight, he got taken out in, I think, the third inning for something with his hand, I think. But besides that, they got Chris Sale, which is my favorite to win the Cy Young in AL. And then you got the Astros. They just won the World Series, obviously, and you could see how great they are. Really solid rotation, and getting Garrett Cole, best move they could ever do.
11 strikes.
They figured out the way to use Cole. The Pirates didn't know how to. I'm pretty sure he has one of the lowest ERAs in baseball right now. He has 2 wins, and I'm pretty sure he might be leading the league in strikeouts, or he's close to it. He's fantastic. Great move by the Astros, and I think it's going to be the Astros and Red Sox, and you can see one.
Who has been going off to start the year. A great shortstop moved over from Arizona. At second base, you're going to have Gleyber Torres, top prospect in baseball. Third base, a top 100 prospect, Miguel Andujar. Great defender, great hitter. At first base, Greg Bird when he's healthy, another great hitter. At catcher, Gary Sanchez, a bomber, the best hitting catcher in baseball. The outfield is going to hit so many home runs. Guys are getting on base. You have Luis Severino, who throws gas. That guy could strike out anyone, especially in today's era of baseball. He is going to strike out everyone. The bullpen, you have Aroldis Chapman, the greatest closer of all time, besides Mariano Rivera, another Yankee. Their bullpen is deep. You've got a guy in the 8th inning that's a closer on most teams. They are so deep, and even though Chris Sale
the Red
throws
Sox go deep also.
he might throw Chris Sale
You
might throw
got
that.
Mookie Betts. You got Xander Bogaerts. You got Hanley Ramirez. You got Edward Nunez. You got JD Martinez. You got Jack Bradley. You got also Dustin Pedroia that no one even thinks about. He is a team leader that has been in the postseason before and has won the World Series. That team is fantastic. And the fact that they have Chris Sale, who's one of the best pitchers in the last, how many seasons? I want to say 6 at least. Guy's fantastic. He weighs like 140 pounds and he's the ball.
He's got a wiffle ball slider too.
Yes, and I don't see the Yankees beating that. That's 2 games out of the series. He wins for them. And then if you get David Price healthy, I don't know.
David Price looks like the pitching version of A-Rod when it comes to the postseason. The guy is a ghost.
We'll see. And then don't forget about Rick Porcello.
Porcello was good, and
Cy Young candidate.
he was at one time. His ERA is high, but he got a lot of wins in Detroit. I don't know. I got the Yankees. Especially in their park.
They also have the best closer in baseball. You realize that too.
I don't think he's Aroldis Chapman.
He's better than Aroldis Chapman.
I don't know about that. The Cuban Missile can go toe-to-toe with anyone.
Yeah, how about last year?
You could have blown a hole through a door. He
Yeah.
threw the ball so hard.
Really? Maybe we should bring up his ERA for last year.
Joe Girardi is gone, and Joe Girardi would try to take the blame off himself. He's a terrible manager.
Which I think was a bad move.
He would take the blame off himself. Let's see, we have the best closer in baseball. Oh, yeah. I don't want me to be blamed for us losing again in the postseason when we have the most talented team, so I'm going to take him out of the closer's role. Joe Girardi, that's why you got fired. You know what? Take the blame on yourself and let your best players play like the best players. And that's what Aaron Boone's going to do, and that's why they're going to win.
Wow. Just wow. Wow. All right. Well, we'll see how that shapes out. Tim, you mentioned the strikeout leaders before. Currently, it is Patrick Corbin of the Diamondbacks.
Corbin. I think as of yesterday his start.
Yeah, he's at 29 strikeouts right now. Right behind him.
Yeah, but he has 3 games pitched. Obviously, he's doing great. Don't get me wrong, but he has 1 game that's some of the more talented pitchers, I think. So.
Yeah. Well, let me remind you who's right behind him. Corey Kluber, the double Cy Young winner in 1 year.
Corey Kluber also has 3 games pitched. The Indians could be a surprise to win. I don't see it.
Tim, just the only one who's in the top 11 right now is Garrett Cole. Everyone else has 3 games as well.
Yes, you are correct. My bad. But I think Cole would be up there. He's been on fire, and I think if you give him 1 more game, he's going to be maybe the leader or past that.
Yeah.
Or past the leader.
All right, so we mentioned the Red Sox. The 2 surprise teams that I had, the Mets and Pirates. We'll start with Squid here. Do you think the Mets and the Pirates can keep up their hot runs right now?
The Pirates, I don't know if the Pirates are a division contender, which is how they're playing right now. You have the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Brewers. It's a really tough division. And over time, I think those bullpen struggles will get to them. Unless they make a deal for someone, which I don't see with their risk-averse general manager. But I could see them contending for the wild card, as I could see the Mets contending for a wild card. I don't know if either of them are division contenders, because the division contenders in the Major League Baseball right now are far above any other wild card contender. But both of the teams the Pirates can break right now, they have a balanced lineup from top to bottom. The Mets, I love their pitching. And a couple years ago, they were in the NLCS, so they're really talented. Actually, I think they went to a World Series and when they lost to Kansas City. So they're really talented, and I love Steven Matz. That guy's a left-handed pitcher. I know Tim's a big fan of that. So pitching wins, and starting pitching wins. If they stay healthy, look out for the Mets. And the Pirates, we'll see if they can sneak in there and grab a wild card. I think it's a possibility right now.
I think both teams are going to be very streaky this year. Obviously, on the positive side, beginning of the season, and I think that's due to the fact that some of the other teams are kind of having a cold start, and due to some injuries and due to just kind of conditions and just kind of getting oiled up to play some baseball for 162 games. Milwaukee has some injuries. Cardinals, they're not looking too. They're pretty. I don't think they're at their best, even though they are winning. And also the Cubs, they aren't looking good at all right now. So we'll have to see in probably a month or so from now, see how stuff turns out. But for right now, I'm enjoying watching some of these teams start off high, and hopefully they can continue it.
Yeah, just a forewarning. Watch out for the Cincinnati Reds. They start 2-8, but don't worry, they'll turn that around. I have faith in the Cincinnati Reds.
We'll see. Joey Votto has been really cold. We'll see if he can lead that team as usual.
I kid, of course. Cincinnati is for thugs, and we don't like them here. Let's just keep it that way. I don't think they belong on the show even. So
I don't either. Except unless you're talking about Joey Votto, future possible Hall of Famer.
Neither does Squid.
You got a lot of bums in Cincinnati. The only good thing that came out of Cincinnati was their chili.
Well, yeah, and we don't even want to talk football. I mean, the Bengals are just... boy.
Yeah.
The Bengals are extinct. Let's just put it that way. All right, well, I'd like to thank you guys both for coming on to talk about the MLB. I'm sure we'll have you on again as the season heats up. So, Tim, Squid, thank you so much. Squid, the encyclopedia of sports. Tim, the MLB specialist and baseball specialist. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
All right, have a good one, guys. We'll see you next time.
I'll see you.